Today we have a very, very special session. It is on creating jobs. You know that we've been talking about jobless growth for quite some time, and this is an event where we will come to know how jobs can be created and how creatively we can contribute to the development of the economy. And to take us through this journey is Dr. Kalpana Shankar. To describe her, she is a pioneering impactpreneur and a nuclear scientist turned social entrepreneur, has reshaped social impact over the past 3 decades. She is the managing director of Belstar Microfinance Limited and the co founder and chairperson of Hand in Hand India. She has empowered almost 10 million rural women with sustainable employment opportunities. Her journey reflects an unwavering commitment to uplifting marginalized communities, and under her guidance, Hand in Hand's innovative five pillar approach has fostered women entrepreneurs, created models for reducing child labor, and uplifted communities across nations. Her influence extends globally, having served with organizations such as IFAD, UNOPS, and UNDP. She is the recipient of several prestigious awards, including the Nari Shakti Puraskar, the Bal Kalyan Puraskar, and the inaugural Princess Sabika bint Ibrahim Al Khalifa Global Award for Women's Empowerment from the Kingdom of Bahrain. Dr. Kalpana's academic journey includes earning an executive MBA from TRIUM, where she was awarded the program's inaugural scholarship. She is the co-author of Childhood Regained and Microfinance for a Million Smiles, and her upcoming memoir, scheduled for release in August 2024, serves as a testament to the transformative power of dedication and resilience, inspiring individuals to embark on their own journey of social change. I think we need to make a small change. August 2024 is over and it has already been released. Sorry for that. Our second speaker will be Srinivas Krishnasamy. He is the head of monitoring and evaluation at Hand in Hand India, and he oversees the preparation of jobs creation report. At Hand in Hand India, he is responsible for establishing evidence based monitoring reports for all projects implemented by the organization and he has developed a result based framework for designing and running impactful projects. He has several years of experience in conducting social audits and is familiar with M&E frameworks such as theory of change, log frames, causal and statistical inference, research design, data collection and survey methods, data analysis, and communication of results. So, with that, I welcome you all once again, and let's invite Dr. Kalpana Shankar to the stage. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I wish to thank CIC and Mr. Chandramouli for giving us this wonderful opportunity. I will be talking about Hand in Hand's job creation model. My colleague Srinivas will take you through the metrics, the assumptions, how we arrived at the figure, and also the validation from MGRIL, which is a rating agency. I'm as introduced, I started off as a nuclear scientist. Then I shifted my career to the development sector. I was working with the government for 10 years. Then I embarked on this journey at the grassroots, which was very rewarding. I'll talk about the journey with Hand in Hand India today. To set the context, we have a lot of indices to be proud of in terms of India about the demographic dividend and all that stuff. But when it comes to ultra poor, we see the rich poor divide is a cause of concern, and 15% of them are ultra poor. So, at Hand in Hand, we use the multi dimensional deprivation index to improve their quality of life. We focus on access to education, access to health, skill training to make the poor people at the bottom of the pyramid take up some entrepreneurship. Basically, about Hand in Hand, it is a public charitable trust. When I joined the organization, where there were 3 full-time people and a couple of part-time people. Today, we have expanded to 17 states in India, and more than 14,000 people are part of this group. And our goal was to create 10 million jobs by 2025, and we have managed to reach it in October 2024. Basically, about our 5-pillar program, as I said, we follow the multi-deprivation index. So we have a 5-pillar program to alleviate poverty. First, we started our work with child labor elimination. Then we moved on to women's empowerment. Then health, because it's a pressing need for poor people at the bottom of the pyramid. We also focus on skill development and environment. You may be wondering what these 5 verticals will do to job creation, but I will explain how each of the vertical has actually contributed to the job creation. And we wanted to see the synergy of all the 5 programs. So we implement village uplift programs. We have taken up the program in more than 550 villages. Child labor elimination program. When Kanchipuram is only 70 kilometers from Chennai, but when I joined the organization, it was a shock for me, because when I was working for the government, we used to get reports that we have eliminated money lenders, and even Kanchipuram had got an award as a child labor free district. It was an eye opener to see a lot of children working in weaving looms. They will enroll in school, so in school attendance it will be shown as they were all attending schools, but actually they will be working in weaving looms, inhaling cotton dust, all malnourished. It was a very pathetic sight. Because of the hard work of the team, we really managed to, we have not eliminated child labor, but the problem, which was very acute, from 100%, we have brought it down to 10-15%. After that, we focused and moved on to Tirupur with support from Primark. And currently, we are active in Bihar and Jharkhand. We are working with children in mica mines. We are also working in Shivakasi. I was actually introduced to this organization by Percy Barnabik. My husband did not believe when I said, I'm going to be interviewed by Percy Barnabik. He said, it must be somebody like him, because don't tell me that former ABB chairman is going to come and interview you for this small job. But finally, it happened to be Percy, and I got co-opted to Hand in Hand. I like the job very much. So I came on lean from government, but I decided to continue with Hand in Hand. We have a small film to take you through the journey of our child labor program.
Residential Special Training Centers (RSTC), special bridge schools where special training is offered to dropout children, migrants, child laborers, never enrolled, and irregular school-going children receive full-time formal education using a structured teaching methodology. This special project is supported by Sarva Siksha Abhiyan.
இங்கே இருக்கிற எல்லா டீச்சர்களும் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா குவாலிஃபைட் டீச்சர் தான். பிஎட் டிடிஎட் முடித்த டீச்சர் தான் இங்கே வந்து நாங்கள் ஆசிரியராக நியமிச்சிருக்கோம். 24 மணி நேரமும் இங்கேயே தங்கி குழந்தைகளாக வந்து வேலை செஞ்சு அவங்க தேவைகளை அவங்க மனநிலைக்கு ஏற்பவாறு ஸோ இங்கே வந்து தங்கி அவங்க வேலை செஞ்சுருக்காங்க. அது மட்டும் இல்லாமல் ஸோ 4 குக்கு இருக்காங்க, வாட்ச்மேன், ஓஏ, இந்த மாதிரி பணியாளர்களை வச்சு நாங்கள் வந்து வேலை செஞ்சுட்டு இருக்கோம். பழைய நிலையில் இருக்கிற குழந்தைங்க வந்து இங்கே வந்து இருக்கும்போது அந்த குழந்தைகள் எந்த ஒரு மனநிலையில் இருக்காங்கன்னு சொல்லிட்டு எங்களால் ஃபஸ்ட்டு புரிஞ்சிக்க முடியல. அதுக்கேற்ற மாதிரி ஒரு 1 வீக் 2 வீக் போயிட்டு ஸோ அந்த குழந்தைங்கிட்ட அவங்க குடும்ப சூழ்நிலையை கேட்டு தெரிஞ்சுக்கணும். அந்த குடும்ப சூழ்நிலைக்கு ஏற்றவாறு எங்களை நாங்கள் மாற்றிக்கணும். ஒவ்வொரு குழந்தைக்கும் என்னென்ன விஷயங்கள் அவங்க மனசில் பதிஞ்சிருக்கு, எந்தெந்த விஷயத்தினால அவங்க பாதிப்பு அடைஞ்சிருக்காங்க அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு தெரிஞ்சுன்னு அதுக்கேற்ற மாதிரி தான் நாங்கள் பாடத்தையே கொஞ்சம் கொஞ்சமாக மூவ் பண்ணுறோம். ஃபஸ்ட்டு வந்து நான் கல்வி முறையில் மட்டும் போதிக்கிறது கிடையாது, வாழ்க்கை முறையை அவங்களுக்கு சொல்லி கொடுத்துட்டு அதுக்கடுத்து தான் கல்வி முறைக்கே உள்ளே கால் எடுத்து வைக்கிறோம்.
எங்கள் அம்மா வந்து நான் பிறந்ததுமே கொஞ்ச நாள் கழித்து எங்கள் அம்மா இறந்துட்டாங்க. எங்கள் அப்பா தான் என்னை வளர்த்துட்டு இருந்தார். எங்கள் அப்பா நான் 3வது படிக்க சொல்ல இறந்துட்டார். எங்கள் பாட்டி தாண்டிக்கிட்டுன்னு போயிட்டு அங்கே போயிட்டு வேலையெல்லாம் செய்ய வச்சாங்க. வேலை செய்யும்போது வந்து நான் வந்து எல்லார் பசங்கள்லாம் ஸ்கூலுக்கெல்லாம் போயிட்டு இருப்பாங்க. நான் வந்து ஸ்கூலுக்கு போகிறதெல்லாம் பார்த்துட்டு அழுந்துன்னு இருப்பேன், உக்காந்துன்னு. என்னை மட்டும் ஸ்கூலுக்கு அனுப்பலன்ட்டு நான் உக்காந்து நயந்து நிற்பேன். எங்கள் பாட்டி கூட கவனிக்க மாட்டாங்க. எங்கள் பாட்டி வந்து எதுவுமே செய்ய மாட்டாங்க. சாப்பாடெல்லாம் நொந்து போட்டு தான் போடுவாங்க. இங்கே நான் வந்து வேலை செய்யும்போது வந்து உதயகுமார் சார் வந்து அங்கே பார்த்துட்டு, நீ வந்து படிக்கிறியாம்மான்னு கேட்டாங்க சார். அப்போ வந்து நான் படிக்கிறேன் சார் சொன்னேன் சார். அப்புறமா 2 நாள் கழிச்சிட்டு வந்தாங்க சார். சார் வந்துட்டு என்னை வந்து வா நம்ம போகல ஸ்கூலுக்கு இட்டுன்னு வந்தாங்க சார். டாமினேரி ஆர்எஸ்டிசிக்கு வந்து நான் வந்து 4வது படிக்கிறதுக்கு வந்தேன் சார். அங்கே நாங்கள் வந்துட்டு நல்லா படிச்சுன்னு இருந்தேன். நான் வரும்போது வந்து எனக்கு எழுத்தே தெரியாது. நான் வந்து இப்போ வந்து சரளமாக கொஞ்சம் கொஞ்சம் பொருள் வந்து படிக்கிறேன். எங்கள் மிஸ்ஸுங்கெல்லாம் இப்போ வந்து நல்லா பார்த்துக்கிறாங்க. எங்கள் சித்தப்பா எங்கள் வீட்டில் கூட என்ன அது போல் பார்த்துக்க மாட்டாங்க. இங்கே வந்து நல்லா பார்த்துக்கிறாங்க. நான் வந்து இப்போ வந்து நல்லா படித்து நான் வந்து டீச்சர் ஆகணும்னு ஆசைப்பட்றேன். என்னை மாதிரி வந்து படிக்காத பசங்களுக்கு வந்து படிக்கணுன்ட்டு நினைக்கிறேன். நான் டீச்சர் ஆகிட்டு வந்து எல்லோரும் படிக்காத பசங்களெல்லாம் நான் படிக்க வைக்க போகிறேன். நன்றி.
A child is meant to learn, not to earn. It's never too late to have a happy childhood. Learning gives creativity, creativity leads to thinking, thinking provides knowledge, and knowledge makes you great.
Thank you. This is one reason why we opted for microfinance, because the causal factor for this child labor is poverty. And sometimes it's really, I've come across very difficult situations. So we felt that we have to empower the women. We mobilized groups with mothers of child laborers. So, and then I will talk about that, and when I speak about the second vertical. Under child labor, we run residential schools, we run transit schools, and also school strengthening program. We also give scholarships for girl children. About how this pillar is contributing to job creation, we have helped nearly 16,000 children to pass grade 10, and around 700 of them have passed their graduation, and some of them are even graduates. And nearly 50 of them have joined uniformed services, and some of them have joined corporates, and some of them are working for the government. So that's how they also contribute to the job creation. Next, this is the most important pillar, because we strongly believe that if women are empowered, the families are empowered, and through the families, we can also create sustainable communities. So we started focusing on the women. First, we started off with the mothers of child laborers. Now we are working across 17 states. Why we give so much of importance to women? Still, gender inequality is there, and we are ranked as 129th out of the 146 countries. It's something we have to work on this area. Similarly, the gender parity in wage is some area. These are two areas I feel we have a long way to go. And when we invest in women, we see a multiplier effect. And women are honest borrowers. Till COVID, the repayment, we are running a MFI, the repayment used to be 99.5. Even during COVID, when some of them lost their husbands, I was really moved when one lady came back to our office and paid her full loan, saying that I don't want to cheat this institution which has done so much for me. So that was the spirit. So we have, through women, we have expanded the model across the 17 states and 7 countries also. Best part of microfinances, first they set up their own enterprise, and then when they are able to tackle the poverty and when they're getting 3 full meals, they start focusing on other important pressing issues like education of their children and health. Over 2 decades, wherever we have got support from donor institutions for nurturing SHGs, we have demonstrated very good results. For every rupee invested in Hand India, we were able to demonstrate a return on investment of 42 rupees. This study was conducted by IIT Madras. And similarly, in terms of increase in family income, the overall well-being of the family, as well as the women's empowerment in terms of mobility, all that increased wherever we have worked with donor support. Our job creation model, basically we focus on 4 crucial elements: social mobilization, because as individuals, women don't get strength, but as a group members, they're able to articulate. Because having been a part of this movement from 1994, I used to see, like in the beginning, to speak to the collector, to speak to the chief minister, they used to be very scared. Today, they are in a position to articulate. They will speak to the prime minister, to even the president of India. So they are really empowered to that extent. And training and capacity building, there are a lot of arguments, a lot of RCTs conducted to say that it is not necessary. But in our country, where there is so much of rich poor divide, and there's so much of illiteracy and even gender gap in literacy, I think training and capacity building is a very crucial element to uplift poorer families. And access to credit, first generation entrepreneurs, that is also a very crucial step, because we find a lot of MFIs giving credit. There are also a lot of institutions giving training, but timely credit at an affordable price is the missing element, and that's what we try to do. And we have also promoted federations. They are called as cluster level networks. We have promoted around 4,500 cluster level networks across India. Basically, these cluster level networks ensure sustainability of our interventions. Some of the indicators what we track, people may be wondering, how did we come up with the 10 million jobs? Working from 2004 till 2024, apart from COVID 1 or 2 years, on an average every year we have been promoting something like 25,000 self-help groups or JLGs. Through that, we have targeted nearly 5 lakh women. So cumulative number of women we have targeted is about 51 lakhs. And we are also working with FPOs and others, and that's how we have reached the job creation number. We are around 5 to 10% of them are graduated entrepreneurs. They were doing very well prior to COVID, but COVID was a major setback. But still, we have some 10% of them who are pursuing bigger enterprises. They have become like a micro enterprise. Srinivas will explain in detail about the figures in this slide. I would like to talk about 2-3 major projects under women's empowerment. I also want to thank the corporates, because all of them have funded our initiative, be it Anganwadi renovation or upgrading the schools. It has helped several poor children, and it was because of our esteemed board, commitment of the team, audit systems. They felt convinced. We used to have a stringent audit by several donor agencies. They used to hire the big four. They used to spend weeks, 1 week to 10 days, looking at our controls, our procedures, and then only they came forward to give us a grant. This partnership with ADB, we implemented this project in Madhya Pradesh. Basically, it was to promote energy-based enterprises. There were women doing routine enterprises. Drudgery was so. When I started working in Madhya Pradesh, it was an eye-opener. Families used to sleep outside. They used to keep the cattle inside the house. That it was so backward in 2007. But today, it has become, I would say, it's one of the progressive states. So there we identified enterprises. It might be even a tailoring machine. We said, why don't you convert it to a motorized machine? You can actually produce more shirts. So we worked with 20,000 women across several states, and we made them take up energy-based enterprises that helped in improving their productivity, reduce the drudgery, improve the mobility of the women, and ADB considered that as a very successful, unique gender sensitive project. And second is about SLR. We are having active engagement with SLR now. Blindness control, even we think we have become a progressive nation. 2 months back, we were in a village doing eye checkup. Out of 130 people, nearly 125 people had problems in their eyes. So it is going unnoticed. So free eye camps, these interventions go a long way in helping the poor people. What we did in India is the first NGO where we managed to scale it up and we have taken it up overseas. This project was well received in South Africa by the former President Thabo Mbeki and also by Nelson Mandela. We implemented a pilot initiative in Afghanistan with support from Ministry of External Affairs. That became a forerunner to a World Bank project. So till now, government of Afghanistan, they even sent a letter to our Prime Minister thanking India for the services of Hand in Hand. And in partnership with IADB, which is similar, it is also a bilateral institution working in Latin America and Caribbean. We implemented a project in Brazil. It was also a very successful project. From Brazil, we could actually expand it to other Latin countries. Even today, the project is continuing, and they considered it as a very successful case of South-South dialogue. We have our own setup in Cambodia. Cambodia, it's other extreme. There's so much of talk about genocide, about Jews, but nobody talks about what has happened in Cambodia in what Pol Pot has done to the elite group there, the researchers, doctors. Many of them have been murdered. It's a young population, all of them less than 35 years. They live in bamboo houses. All of them will have some half a acre of land and few pigs, but they are very happy. They say we are happy because we are alive. So doing a project there gives us a lot of happiness, and there are a lot of MFIs charging exorbitant interest. We worked with them on the self-help group model. We trained them to save, and we introduced skill training, which was a game changer in Cambodia. Outside of India, we have created nearly 50,000 jobs. We also have our own academy. It is at Kaliyanur in Kanchipuram. We use this as a learning and development center. We share all the research papers, our lessons learned. We also host a global social entrepreneurship program through this initiative. And I'm very happy to inform that Hand in Hand India is a case study of Stanford, London School of Economics, and Belstar is a case study of Harvard Publishing House. What makes us different? It's a focus on scale and sustainability. We have never left any door untouched. Our team is also very passionate. If anybody is coming forward to give some donation, any challenging project, we have always said no. So that is also one reason. Focus on scale and sustainability, innovation, because wherever there is an opportunity, we have tried to grab that opportunity. Partnerships, as I said, local CSR donors have been very supportive, and even the governments. Alignment with SDGs, because we send our staff for training abroad, and so we try to see what is the best, how to make best use of the money and the resources available, and we try to align with the SDGs. And from local, we have managed to expand globally, and we have a very robust internal and external monitoring and evaluation system. I started my career with the government as a monitoring and evaluation officer. From day one, we have been having a robust monitoring and evaluation system. Not all the projects will be successful. We have been transparent with the donors to tell them we have been successful in these initiatives. These initiatives we may take some more time, or we have to rework on the strategy. That transparency actually gave a lot of confidence to the donor agencies. And we have a synergy with the group entities which are also supporting us in this initiative. Only when you start working with the poor people, you realize that they go to the hospital only in the nth hour, and they're all illiterate. They can't fill up any form. So that golden hour or whatever we talk about, that is lost before they get admitted. So after COVID, we were running, now only we are slowing it down. We were running help desks in all the government hospitals in 6-7 places to help them get admission immediately. So it was, we felt like if they can implement in places like Apollo, why can't poor people also get such services? We trained 4 or 5 people. So they immediately used to take the vital parameters. They had established good rapport with government doctors. So many of them got prompt treatment after COVID through our help desk. Basically, we focus on anemia, malnourishment, and other pressing issues for women and children. We have renovated nearly 750 Anganwadis across the country and 100 schools with the support from the CSR donations. The impact of which we have created on the child labor, under the health pillar. Our fourth vertical is the skill development pillar, because skill development only will help in increase in income. So we're giving a lot of thrust on skill development, and it is customized according to the local geography and based on the literacy of the SSG members. we had an evaluation by E&Y, and they pointed out that there is a conversion from 60 to 70%. If you give training for 100 people, 60 to 70 people get placed in various institutions based on our skill training. And the skill trainings are customized according to the local geography. So for we have agriculture training, we have training in crafts, we have training in beauty and wellness. Next, please. Electronics, uniformed services, uh, and even mobile training. The four-wheeler training in Rajasthan, like for them, it was a major what to say. Because they have to wear their parda, they had to get permission from the husbands. They really felt empowered after this four-wheeler training. So skill training contributes to increase in income and also to job creation. Our fifth pillar is environment. This creates a lot of green jobs. We have two divisions under the environment pillar. One is natural resource management. Second is sustainable waste management. Under natural resource management, we focus on water conservation, climate resilient agriculture, green cover development, and green enterprises. We are a very committed team, and we are helping nearly 30,000 farmers through this initiative. This is one of, I would like to showcase the work of our team. This project, we managed to create the first green heritage site at Mamalapuram. This has been possible because of the support from central government, state government, ASI, and Rain on Nissan. You must visit Mamalapuram and see how this has been done. In terms of sustainable waste management, at one point in time, we were handling the waste of 6 lakh households. And so every morning when I used to read the newspaper, I used to be worried whether there's some criticism coming from some corner or the other, because handling waste for 6 lakh households on a daily basis was a Herculean task. And then when we reached such scale, we hived it off into a separate company. And Green Friends, who used to pick up the waste, who have been associated with us for more than 10 years, their children are engineers, they are working in IT companies. So that is the progression we have seen. And currently we are active in the area of plastic waste management and waste to wealth initiatives. So this is about a clean coastline with support from Green Friends. It is implemented across ECR in 11 villages. We are also into advocacy in a big way, because behavioral change has to happen when they are small. So we are working with government schools, and upskilling is also one of the initiatives. And when in 2005, Jeffrey Sachs had written a book on how to eradicate world's poverty. And he had actually spent millions of dollars in Africa. We felt with a fraction of the money used in Africa, we can actually combine the 5-pillar program and create impact. So that's what we attempted to do through the VUPs, and we have uplifted nearly 521 villages. So synergy with the group entities. So first is Belstar. The job creation has been possible because of support from Belstar. And as a trust, we did some lending, but it was not very efficient. Banks never gave the timely credit. And when women were trained, they did not get the credit. And we had nearly 400,000 households, but we could not service them in an effective way. That's when we acquired Belstar. Then we have Hand in Hand Inclusive Development Services. It focuses on waste management. Bhumi Pride is another initiative. It is an Apex organization, a farmers producers organization. So it is catering to, it's an online platform basically. We are trying to promote farmers produce through that initiative. Hand in Hand Academy, I've already spoken. It is a knowledge development center. And we have Hand in Hand Consulting Services. We use Hand in Hand Consulting Services for knowledge replication across different geographies. Varashakti Housing is also another initiative. It focuses on affordable housing to the poorer segments. In addition, we have our own organization in Cambodia. I've spoken about our intervention in Cambodia. And we run 2 schools in Kanchipuram. It was started for first generation on learners. When I joined, even the license was not there. From there, we have, it has come a long way, and we are supporting nearly 1,100 children through both the schools. It's not run with a profit motive, but we are ensuring sustainability, and we are catering to high quality education. Our key milestone in this journey has been the acquisition of Belstar. Nobody will believe when I say I acquired Belstar for 27 lakhs, because that was not my cup of tea. At first, I was a nuclear scientist, moved on to become a developer. I started working in the development sector, and then there was a need, because continuously getting donor funding also was very difficult. We felt we had to become sustainable, so we acquired Belstar. We focus on both social capital and economic capital, and that we strongly believe it results in socio-economic development. Um, Hand in Hand India and Belstar, they work in synergy. We target the same clients. Hand in Hand provides a social capital, and Belstar provides a microfinance. Other than we have only one transaction between both entities. The profits of Belstar are plowed as a CSR grant to Hand in Hand. Other than that, we don't have any transaction between both the entities. They are managed by very eminent boards. Belstar Microfinance, as I said, we acquired for 27 lakhs. Today, the net worth is, by God's grace, is around 2,000 crores. And it is a subsidiary of Muthoot Finance. And we have also got capital investment from Afirma and Marge. The present status of Belstar Microfinance, we are one among the top 10 MFIs. We reached an AUM of 10,000 crores in last March. And it's the only AA rating MFI, and that is because of our parent entity. And the Belstar alone is providing job to 12,500 people in India. The hard work, we have not applied for any awards. We are very thankful for all the recognitions received. We have got several awards at the state level, 3 national awards. And I'm very happy about the award received at the United Nations. The credit goes to my team for all the hard work done. I just gave a glimpse of how we managed to scale up our initiative and how we have reached 10 million jobs. If you want more information, it is available in the book, The Scientist Entrepreneur. The proceeds of this book will go to Hand in Hand. So I recommend that all of you please buy the book, and please encourage people to buy and read the book. I would like to conclude my talk with Phil on SHG entrepreneur. We would like to showcase how our interventions have helped women in terms of empowerment, in terms of uplifting their family and the community. Thank you.
அனைவருக்கும் வணக்கம். என் பேர் சீதா. அவளூர் ஊராட்சியில் வசிக்கிறேன். ஆண்டினாண்டூரில் நாங்கள் வந்து ஒன்றா இணைஞ்சோம். அவங்க கொடுத்த ஊக்கத்தால் நிறைய வளஜபத்தில் ஃபுட்வேல்டுக்கு கடை எடுத்து கொடுத்தாங்க எங்களுக்கு. அந்த கடை மூலயமா வந்த வருமானத்தை வச்சு பசங்களை படிக்க வச்சேன். அடுத்து பார்த்திங்கன்னா வீடு கட்டினது இதால் தான் இந்த வாங்கி நம்மளால் கட்ட முடியும்னு சொல்லிட்டு தான் நல்ல பெனிஃபிட்டாக இருந்தது எங்களுக்கு. குழுவில் சேர்ந்ததால் எங்களுக்கு ஆரம்பத்தில் வந்து ரொம்ப கஷ்டம். எழுத தெரியாது, படிக்க தெரியாது. அடுத்தவங்கள்ட்ட போய் எழுதுவோம். அவங்க வந்து ஒரு நாளைக்கு எழுதி கொடுப்பாங்க, ஒரு நாளைக்கு எழுதி கொடுக்க மாட்டாங்க. ஆண்டினாண்டை மூலமா வந்தாங்க. அவங்க தான் வந்து ஒரு முறைக்கு 4 முறை வந்து கற்றுக் கொடுத்தாங்க. இது இப்படி தான் எழுதணும், இப்படி தான் எழுதணும், 1-2 தப்பாக இருந்தாலும் பார்த்துக்கலாம், நீங்கள் எழுதுங்கன்னாங்க. அதே போல எழுதணும். இப்போ வந்து நாங்கள் நிறைய பேருக்கு எழுதி கொடுக்குறோம். எங்கள் பசங்களை தமிழ் மீடியம் வெறும் தமிழ் மீடியம் தான் படிக்க வச்சேன். இங்கிலீஷ் மீடியம் படிக்க வைக்கல. நம்ம வருமானத்துக்கு தகுந்தாப்புல தான் நம்ம செய்யணும்னு சொல்லிட்டு தமிழ் மீடியமே படிக்க வச்சு, அந்த 12ஆவதுக்கு அப்புறம் அவங்கள காலேஜ் சேர்க்கணுன்னா கூட கொஞ்சம் பைசா கட்டணுன்னு காலேஜில் சொல்லிட்டாங்க. அதுக்கு கூட ஹேண்ட் இன் ஹேண்டில் நாங்கள் லோன் வாங்கி பெரிய பையனுக்கு ஃபஸ்ட்டு அதில் சேர்த்து விட்டு அவன் படிச்சுக்கிட்டே வந்தான். மறு வருஷம் சின்ன பையன் அதே காலேஜிலே போய் +2 பாஸ் பண்ணிவிட்டு அதே காலேஜிலே போய் சேர்ந்தான். அவனுக்கும் 2வது லோன் வாங்கி அவனுக்கும் போய் கொண்டு போய் சேர்த்து விட்டோம். அந்த ஹெச்ஓடிக்கிட்ட போயிட்டு நான் என்ன செஞ்சேன், மேம் பசங்களை கொஞ்சம் பார்த்துக்குங்க அப்படின்னு சொன்னேன். அவங்க என்ன சொன்னாங்கன்னா, இந்த மாதிரி அப்பா அம்மா வந்து என்றைக்குமே வந்து எங்ககிட்ட சொன்னதே கிடையாது, நீங்கள் தாம்மா வந்து முதல் முறையாக இருக்குது, எனக்கு அதிசயமாக இருக்குன்னாங்க. இல்லை மேம், நான் வந்து ஸ்கூல்லேருந்து சரி ஹைஸ்கூல்லேருந்து சரி காலேஜ் வரைக்கும் நான் வந்துட்டேன், எங்களுக்கு வந்து நீங்கள் தான் பையனை நீ இப்படி சொல்லிட்டீங்கல்ல, நான் பார்த்துக்கிறேம்மா அப்படின்னாங்க. அதே போலயே அவன் வந்து பாஸ் பண்ணிவிட்டு அதுவும் காலேஜில் பேசிக்கிட்டே இருப்பாங்க, வெங்கட் இதை படிக்கிறான், சந்துரு இதை படிக்கிறான், நல்லா இருப்பாங்க அப்படின்னு சொன்னாங்க. அவங்களும் கொஞ்சம் ஊக்கப்படுத்தினாங்க. உங்கள் அப்பா அம்மா வந்து ரொம்ப கஷ்டத்தில் இருக்காங்கடா, நீங்கள் நல்லா படிக்கணும், அவங்களுக்கு நல்ல பேர் எடுத்து கொடுக்கணும், எனக்கும் நல்ல பேர் எடுத்து கொடுக்கணும்னு அவங்க கொஞ்சம் ஊக்கம் கொடுத்தாங்க. அதேமாரியே படித்து ஃபஸ்ட்டு பையன் வந்து டிஎன்பிசி பரீட்சை எழுதி தலைமைச் செயலகத்துக்கு போயிட்டான். 2வது பையன் மறு வருஷம் பரீட்சை எழுதி ஹைகோர்ட்டுக்கு போயிட்டான். இப்போ அவங்க வாழ்க்கை தரம் நல்லா இருக்குது. இதெல்லாம் வந்து செஞ்சது பெருசு இல்லை, பசங்களுக்கும் நீங்கள் வந்து நல்லா சொல்லி கொடுங்கடா அப்படின்னு சொல்லியிருக்கேன். ஞாயிற்றுக்கிழமை ஆனால் பசங்க வந்து அவங்ககிட்ட வந்து டியூஷன் எடுத்து படிச்சிட்டு இருக்காங்க. இதனால் நிறைய பேர் கொஞ்சம் பயனடையட்டும்னு எனக்கு ஒரு ஆசை. நாமளே நல்லா இருந்தால் நல்லா இருக்காது, அடுத்தவங்களுக்கும் கொஞ்சம் ஹெல்ப் பண்ணுங்கடான்னு சொல்லியிருக்கேன். அது மாதிரி செஞ்சிட்ருக்கானுங்க பசங்க. இதே போல் ஆண்டினாண்டும் கொஞ்சம் வந்து எல்லாருக்கும் உதவி பண்ணி கொஞ்சம் லோனு கொடுத்து ஏதாவது ஊக்கப்படுத்தி அவங்களுக்கு வாழ்க்கை தரத்தை உயர்த்தணும்னு நான் வந்து பணிவன்புடன் கேட்டுக்கொள்கிறேன். நன்றி, வணக்கம்.
She's a typical SSG member. When in 2004-5, when we used to enroll them, most of them were illiterate. Around, I would say, around hardly 10 to 15% were illiterate. Today, their sons and daughters are doctors, engineers. It's so heartening to see that sort of a development. The SSG movement has given them a lot of confidence. It has empowered them through mobility, meeting others. They also aspire for improvement in their quality of life. So now I will invite Srinivas to take you through the job creation figures.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure to actually present the results of our job creation numbers as of 31st October 2024. I'm sure a lot of my colleagues at Belstar and Hand in Hand would share the pride that I have to have worked on achieving this important milestone. I think Dr. Shankar gave you an overview of the organizations and how we work towards creating creating jobs. So I think before we start the presentation, I want to tell you that it is structured in three parts. The first part will possibly be an overlap with what Dr. Shankar was mentioning, and I'll present the context of the job creation model and how we actually create jobs. The second one is the overview of the approach and the methodology that we have used to estimate the jobs. And finally, and I think the most important component is the impact that the job creation has had on the day to day lives of the women with whom we work. So I think this is now a cliche. I mean to say, job creation is now a very important policy issue in India. And the victory of Congress in the last Lok Sabha polls itself was one of the poll promises that they made was job creation for youth. So again, this is just a formal definition of the jobs, and it simply means an economic activity where a person can earn income. Okay. Why do we need to create jobs? As a civil society organization that we work with, particularly as Dr. mentioned, the poverty that gripped India quite some time back. I think the need to create jobs is very imperative. One is obviously the alignment with the SDG goals, but the other ones are very important. And one of the important key points is to liberate households from poverty traps. I think that's something very important for the community with whom we work, the stakeholders with whom we work. So this productivity and address and employment are not they are not very unimportant ones, but liberating households from poverty trap is very important. One of the important things that is a policy recommendation is countries like India need to move a lot of their households from the lower end, that is low income households, to somewhere in the middle income households. And poverty, that is the job creation model that we have, works towards that objective. I think there are some important features of hand in hand job creation model in this slide. I think the first thing which I would like to highlight is the macroeconomic empowerment and the micro. The macroeconomic, obviously, the thing is we have working with hand in hand works predominantly with women. Okay, so why tap women? The thing is, it is estimated by McKinsey that if women were to come into the workforce, the GDP growth will be approximately 25% higher. So we are currently around 8. You could possibly expect a much higher bump in economic growth. So women are an untapped reserve. So that's one of the ideas, the macro ideas behind the job creation model. The microeconomic, the micro story is were very much along the ones that Dr. Shankar mentioned, in terms of giving women a leg up in this community, making them feel respected, making them a catalyst for social transformation. So that's the hand in hand story behind why we do job creation. Okay, the higher bargaining power is both in terms of economic and the social empowerment part of it. So that's what it is. But before I go to the next slide, I think there are some features that I do want to highlight about our job creation model. The first one is the sagacity and the wisdom that our co-founders had. We are talking about 2002, 2004, where the job creation mantra didn't exist. So getting an organization woven around the theme of job creation is something that is far pioneering. It was something which was very far sighted. The second important feature of our job creation model is the emphasis on creating enterprises. So the enterprises is basically anybody, it's not very easy to be an entrepreneur. I think people who run businesses realize how difficult it is to have a very good balance between intuition and the decision making skills to run a successful business. I think only people who experience running a business would know about it. So we are people who are not running businesses, but it is our responsibility to make women understand this nuance. So as Dr. Shankar said, this idea of training as a what do you call a chronological precedent to an enterprise activity is very important, and hand in hand does that. I mean, there's a lot of people think that capital is one of the most important things for running businesses. No, it's the confidence that a woman has, the ability to step out of her homes and run a business is the most important thing. Capital is now easily available, possibly it wasn't earlier, but that's the second important thing. Enterprise creation is something that is very important. The third important thing is women. I think I already mentioned it, but the transformative power of women is something which possibly you need to experience if you come to hand in hand. You saw the video of the lady. We have so many cases of women actually making a difference to the society. So these are three important anchors on which our job creation model is based on. Before we go to the model, I just want to define some notations and some terminology here. So, what is a job? So, the job is essentially any economic activity in which somebody is engaged in, for which they earn an income. We have something called a full-time job and a part-time job. A full-time job definition is something that has been there over the last couple of years, but you will see that the minimum number of hours that you need to work is approximately 720 hours in a year. So that translates to approximately 4 hours a day. A part-time job would be the threshold below the threshold of 4 hours per day. An enterprise, it means it can be an income generating activity. It can be possibly something which we don't actually associate with business, but it can be income generating activity. But there are also formal enterprises that are there, which essentially has all the regulatory norms that are we have something called a family based enterprise. A family based enterprise is essentially where the women and her family work on that income generating activity. A micro and investment is approximately 50,000. The threshold is 50,000. Micro enterprises are something which are just above the threshold of 50 but less than 75,000. But there the enterprise graduates into engaging outsiders into the business. Small and medium actually are at the threshold which is between 75 and 75,000 and goes up to 30,000. Sorry, 3 lakhs. So that's the small and family based enterprises. The definitions are based on the joint work with Belstar and Hand and Do, and this is the classification of the enterprises. I think this we have already discussed this quite a bit, but job creation model, I just would like to, as I said earlier, the job creation model essentially sees a woman who is actually in a sheltered environment. She doesn't know what the world outside looks of the four walls of her house. We take her and then make her into an entrepreneur. So that is the whole journey that a woman who works with or who is a part of the Hand and Belstar ecosystem goes through. So there is a process here, but I think it's not very important to describe the process. But the idea of what transformation takes place to the woman is what is the idea behind the is the most important thing behind the job creation model. So the target women, rural households, women from rural households who are not earning very high income. That's the target population. Economic activity is something which we motivate them to start enterprises. We provide them loans and then we provide them training. That's the basic process which that women go through. So, as I conclude this slide, I think the synergy of the social capital and the economic capital is social capital is provided by Hand in Hand India, economic capital is provided by Belstar. Let me just put the entire slide so that I think I can explain it in one go. The model for create for estimating jobs is very simple. What we do is we count the number of enterprises that we have supported, that is the family and the micro enterprises and the SME enterprises. We go and do a sampling methodology to identify how many staff are employed or how many employees are there by enterprise, and we just take the product, sum it across the three enterprises and give you a job creation number. One thing which you see here is one of the things that we do is we also subtract off the jobs that have been lost by enterprises that have been closed or discontinued. So the where is the data coming from for this number of enterprises is correlated to the loans that is given by Belstar, and there is a count in the MIS which tells you how many jobs, how many loans have been given by vintage. That is by vintage. By vintage would mean there are cycle one, cycle two, cycle three loans, and also by enterprise type. So, as I said, there are certain number of enterprises that are discontinued, and then the sampling survey is done to identify or to actually take account of the number of employees by enterprise. So we have not, at Hand and Hand, all our evaluations are done by external consultants because that keeps the credibility of the numbers in check. The job creation survey is done in a cycle time of 8 years because that's something which we think is the appropriate time because a woman needs to go through the 4 cycle of loan. So the first that is, we started somewhere around 2006 2007. So the first survey was done in 2014, and then the second survey was done in 2022. We have, to validate the number of 10 million jobs, asked MCRIL to do an audit of our estimate, our model, that is the model given by MCRIL. We are using it. So we have asked them to audit the numbers and then give us comfort that whatever we are presenting to you today is correct. Okay, so the sampling methodology here is basically a stratification of the sample in terms of the state where Belstar operates, the branches, there are different flavor of branches, and by location. So this is the states where we have done it, and this comprises 83% of the total loan portfolio and the customers. So these are the three, and yeah, there are the 7 states that we have done this sampling. This might seem to be very long, but it is the same thing. So the first one is when MCRIL went into the field, they first did a sampling, estimate a proportion of the number of customers who were already active. And when they did the survey, they actually found out how many people had not used the money for productive purposes. So that's an estimate that they have there. Then the second estimate is the number of family based enterprises and the micro enterprises. But all these data is actually obtained by interview. So they had the number of family based enterprises that were established. I think the one important thing that you need to note is, though the number of entrepreneurs is only around 1700, the number of enterprises were much more, which means women actually, some women run more than one enterprises. Okay, but the second important thing is the micro enterprises are still a smaller proportion of the total enterprise pool. The estimate is, that is the 3,000 jobs created would be the number of actually staff employed in the respective enterprises, which gives you something called a multiplier, because that multiplier is the number that we are going to multiply the number of enterprises to come to something which is in 0.5, which tells you what are the number of this thing. So the multiplier is multiplied with the number of enterprises by type, and that gives you a total estimate of approximately 10.3 million jobs. We have obviously subtracted off the number of jobs lost. For the jobs lost, we have used the numbers which are the multiplier of the family based enterprises, because it's very likely that the family based enterprises are going to fail. So given that, we have an estimate of the total number of jobs created, which is approximately 10 million. The this jobs created was the SHG pillar, the livelihood pillar, and it has the lion's share of the jobs created. But it is not to say that the other pillars don't create jobs. We have the environment pillar in particular, which does or create jobs without the loan being an integral part of that particular thing. So we have added that particular job, and we have a current estimate of approximately 10.1 million jobs. So I think that more or less concludes the methodology. Some important things, the third part of it. I'm sorry for the premature and saying that I'm going to close it, but I think there are some important things here. This just gives you the distribution of the enterprises across the sectors. Allied is a very important one. Allied is basically all the livestock and the some allied to agriculture. I think this is something which I do want to touch, but there are some important things that I would like to. this is the impact of the job creation model on the women whom we are associated with. The financial impact in terms of household income, the trend across all the different impact measure is that you would notice that that is at the initial phase, the thing is there is an equal, almost an equal distribution of high, neutral and low. But as time evolves and as people go through the process, the thing is the satisfaction level improves. So I think there is a policy idea here saying that the hand holding that Hand in Hand and Belstar do is a long term initiative. You would see this improvement across the all the measures that I'll have. So the first measure is an improvement in household income. It improves as time goes on. The second thing is the savings. The savings also have improved. Again, with time, the improvement has been significant. The third one is purchase of assets. The thing is, this has a very muted improvement, but still it is no doubt there. So people use the money to earn, to grow assets, household assets. But I think here is where the story is. I think the first one is the education. Most of the money that is earned from from the business goes into education of children, and that's a story that gets played out every time we do survey. So they are very cognizant about the importance of education in their house for the children. And I think though it is coincidental that this movie that was played echoes this theme. So it's people realize the importance of education. Health is another important thing for which the money is used. So these are very non-financial metrics. We want to see whether the position of the women within the households have improved. Yes, it has. And this is whether the women are actually heard in when households make decision. Yes. So there is an overall impact of the work that we are doing. I hope I have captured the essence of what we have done in these slides, and I leave it to you to, if you have any questions, you can please ask. And I request Dr. Shankar to join me so that we can take questions if there's.
I would like to just inquisitively ask whether this improvement in the socio-economic standards of the women had a positive impact on their husband. Forget about the children.
I think Dr. Shankar is the best person to answer.
Like men could not borrow. At one stage, what happened after the SSG movement, men could not mobilize any loans. Women could mobilize the loans. So the respect which she commanded at household level started improving. And she was, I've seen in 2006-7, for any treatment for women, the entire family, the mother-in-law, father-in-law, husband, all of them used to go and speak to the doctor. Like things are changing now. They are able to negotiate. They know what they want to. Like advocacy has helped in terms of negotiating with the family. Even as a part of the training, we tell them you should be empowered. You should know how to negotiate with your family. You need not fight with them to establish yourself, because you need the support of your husband and family even to continue with the business. In the beginning, used to be a lot of backlash. Men used to come to the workplace. They used to have some paper cup unit. They used to beat them up. Why you're not feeding? You're preparing food and you're actually going to work. Despite the fact she used to use that income for the well-being of the family. So the dynamics within the household, and most important thing, the political empowerment also we are seeing. In the last election, nearly 1,500 SSG members have become panchayat presidents, have become ward members. I think they are also entering into that space and influencing the lives of other women.
I think to answer your question, Pandaji, I think what Joseph and I did when we ran us, we invited the husbands also to our entrepreneur programs which we run. And I think, let's say 95% of the husbands were okay. but there were five who still didn't agree to the wife working, and they had issues about wife going to work though she was a postgraduate. So it is there on both sides of the spectrum, but it's biased towards men being very supportive. That is definitely there.
Um, my broadly, you have told us about the health and educational impact. Uh, I wanted to know what impact it has had on patriarchal mindsets, some of which you have just touched upon, but to be specific in terms of age at marriage, in terms of giving dowry, violence, liquor, all those issues. And whenever we did projects, particularly with the UN, you had mentioned, was to have a proportion, some amount of male participation, in the sense, even in the project, to change mindsets of men alongside. Otherwise there was a lot of backlash, and we did have to involve men simultaneously in the training programs, and much of it was devoted towards changing mindsets of men and boys, and removing of gender stereotypes and all those things. So I wanted to know if there's anything specific which you want to tell us, share.
I think we didn't. I didn't mention the part that in most of the initiatives that we have taken recently, men are an integral part of the not the training program per se, but on the awareness sides of things. So, if you were to ask me what is the stereotype in terms of the this one, I think it's become very progressive. Men have become more understanding, and I think to that extent, my sense is that it has always been good. So liquor is something which I think we find it very difficult to tackle, because it is something which is imbibed in the culture of the community, and very difficult. But we have had successes against that. We had, when we started a program around a couple of years back, a village panchayat leader who was actually running a Tasman bar voluntarily closed her outlet, and she promoted that. So uh, to take the question about liquor, I think that's something which is very difficult to control. Gender neutrality, yes, it is improving towards it. Dowry, I'm not sure whether I'm qualified to answer. I don't know. Any other? Sorry, you had other points that you did mention. Age of marriage, yes, there is. We work very closely with the social welfare department. There are instances that happens, but that is at the lower end of the income profile. That's it is there. I'm not saying it's completely gone.
Yeah.
No, but I think ma'am wanted to answer that question.
No, most of the social evils here talking, like, as an institution we are able to address it only marginally. I think government plays a very critical role, and they are running TASMAC. We cannot do anything, and especially in Tamil Nadu, our heart bleeds because now the entire burden of running the household is with the women. So it is a very pathetic state, and early morning, like, not only that, the next generation, the women are feeling very bad because they used to tolerate their husbands, but they are not able to stomach when their children are also taking to alcohol. And it is here there is no gender difference. Even girls have started, like, even any birthday party now, it's become very common to have liquor. So that's sort of a change. It is not a progressive one. It is very worrisome. And in terms of other areas, even child marriage, I think our group would have actually prevented nearly 600 to 700 child marriages in states, in districts like Vellore, Tiruvallur. So it's still rampant. So, and one more thing I feel is the middle class, like when we were young, we used to patronize government institutions, whether it was government hospital or government schools. Things were better. Now, all the government institutions are patronized only by ultra poor people because we have moved away. So the concept of advocacy is slowly, because government is also not very favorable to such initiatives. We are only focusing on development work and not advocacy. I think only if advocacy is there, we can actually prevent social evils.
Ma'am, you've been working with villages. mostly. But even in cities, urban areas, you have a similar problem where there is no encouragement for many very poor people, and technically also they are not sound. And do you have any idea in future or to also expand it towards urban areas?
We have started expanding to urban areas. It's more tricky, but I think we cannot neglect where a sizable population is living in urban areas. But it involves more investment in terms of um, uh, counseling them, identifying skill sets which may be suitable for them for income generation, and then upskilling them. But it is not impossible, and migration is a problem when it comes to urban areas, because group concept and all those things may not work in. We have to treat them as individuals and empower them. So we have to make some changes, but it is possible to we can adapt that model to urban areas also.
Hey, could I take that question? I think the idea behind the job creation model is to work with people who are not having access to certain training programs and credit. So, to that extent, the mission still remains rural. And what happens is, if you see the trajectory of Hand in Hand's work, we are migrating more towards UP, Bihar, and those locations because that's where the need is. So, to that extent, we can look at the disadvantaged in the urban locations, and there are a lot of there are a lot of institutions that work towards it. I think our work and our positioning is towards people who are finding things very difficult to access. So that in that sense, it will take some time to actually look at urban areas more seriously. But definitely there can be a mix between the urban and the swing, but it will always be predominantly, not call it rural, but where people are disadvantaged. That's, I think, a better way, so that it can encompass both rural and urban areas.
Ma'am, Hand in Hand and Belstar are two different entities. Do you have any plans for taking Belstar to next level, like IPO listing, like that?
Yeah, we have got the SEBI clearance. Now, microfinance sector is going through a lot of challenges. We are waiting for things to stabilize, and then, God willing, we should be going for IPO next year.
Sir, ma'am, nice work. Can you throw some light on the work in Afghanistan after the current situation, with women and all? Then to Srinivas, just a technical question. This 10 million jobs, does it include part-time jobs also, or all are 750 hours and above? And is there a lower threshold on how you quantify the part-time job? So it's like 4 hours a day or lesser is part-time. So is there a lower threshold, like 1 hour a day is the lower threshold?
No, would you like to take the question? Then I'll answer that other one.
When we were working, we were having a pilot in Mazari Sharif. Even then, we had the Talibans, but those days it was possible because at least we had 8 missions coming to India. They saw the model here, and then we also started men's groups in Afghanistan, first to take them through what processes we'll be adopting for women. So that gave them the confidence. Second, we went through the mullahs. So for each country, we had to have a special strategy. Our country director went and explained to the mullahs in Blue Mosque in Afghanistan. So there, for each and everything, they would consult the mullahs. And there used to be a radio program in the afternoon. So some of the women approached the mullahs and asked them, like, there is an institution called Hand in Hand, and they want to help us with skill training. Should we join? And then the mullahs endorsed. Yes, they came and presented to us. Like, that became an advertisement for us. So Afghanistan, those days, we were able to do some quality work in terms of skill training. They are working along the value chain to increase value for their products. Because they were very good artisans, and we were able to help in export and all that stuff. And World Bank project was very helpful because they came with a lot of resources. The project was scaled to several provinces. But today, like, I think we can't work in that fashion, because I think they've gone back. They are not allowing the children to pursue education. That is a fundamental thing. And even it's pathetic, like women are not forbidden even from taking treatment. So I think they've gone backward. But families to prevent starvation, we saw, like when the Taliban was taking over, like how many people were even like trying to escape the country. So in such a situation, whatever little we do in terms of helping the men to earn some income, that indirectly helps the family members. So that's what we're able to do currently. We work only mainly with the men, and women are pursuing some handicrafts at home, but we are not able to mobilize them like before.
Okay, as regards the threshold, uh, we don't have a minimum uh, threshold for that because it's not possible to audit that number at this one. But I think the most simple answer would be that, the enterprises, women, the one who runs the enterprise is fully committed, correct? So the thing is, she would ensure that she is fully employed. The rest of the people will contribute and they will be a part of this one. But when it becomes micro enterprises, you can be dead sure that they will ensure that the external staff work to the extent possible. So I can't answer that question as a lower threshold, but broadly we know that less than 4 hours, it's only the entrepreneur who can be, not the other members who can be there. Okay, so that's the answer to that question.
Good evening. This question is to Dr. Kalpana Shankar. You have mentioned that 15% of the population are below ultra poverty line. Can you quantify this with the rupee value? What is the per annum income that, how do you, I mean, what is this ultra poverty line with the rupee value, please? Thanks.
This is based on the Niti Aayog's report, where they've actually spoken about the decrease in poverty levels, and they had said 17% of our population belong to the poverty line, and generally the classification prescribed by the government is 3 lakh annual income. They say anybody below 3 lakh annual income is classified as below poverty line, but is there any other definition? I'm not too sure. Because only poor people are eligible for the priority sector loans. Because we are involved as an MFI with poor people, they are eligible for microfinance loan only if the family income is below 3 lakhs. That is the current standard set by the government now.
Good evening, ma'am. It was wonderful to know about Hand in Hand. I have a question which is more on the sustainability aspect of the organization. So you are saying that you have been here for almost 20 years. So whenever you select a village or maybe a project, what is the the benchmark or any milestone that you take for coming out of that project, or leaving that group and moving on to another village or another such project, and how the one which you have just concluded or which you feel is in safe hands, how does the transition happen once you leave them, or if at all leave their side or move on to another project?
Yeah. For each pillar, we actually plan for sustainability right from the beginning. For instance, if you talk about child labor program, all those are transformative projects. In 1 year, we cannot show results. It takes at least 3 to 5 years, because we have to work with the children, we have to work with the parents, we have to work with the local communities, because they have to take the responsibility of the NGO. Only then our institutions will be sustainable. But this we learned in partnership with the MV Foundation of Andhra Pradesh. We started promoting child rights protection committees. In the beginning, when I took up the job, I used to think all the sarpanchas are all contractors. Nobody will care about issues like child labor. But because of the hard work of the team, at any point in time they are able to mobilize all the sarpanch. Once even the district collector was surprised in Kanchipuram. They mobilized around 570 panchayat leaders. He said, as a collector, I will not be able to mobilize. How come your staff? So that is because of the hard work. People recognize their work. They don't. So we have created nearly 50,000 volunteers called the Child Rights Protection Committees. They are retired headmasters, village panchayat presidents, people who are committed to that cause. And continuously we keep training them. We allow them to discuss the issues happening at the village, and we act as a mentor, giving them solutions, and we oversee how they implement. We tell them, like, we cannot be come and see whether noon meals supplied properly, whether school teachers are coming regularly. People should take responsibility for your villages. So that's how ensure the sustainability of the child labor project. Similarly, for the self-help group project, I was talking about the cluster level network or the federations, because all the donor projects are for a limited period, 2 years, 3 years. But we have invested so much of money in promoting institutions, and women need continuous support, because after some stage, even for upskilling or even to understand about GST, about software for GST, we need some guidance and even legal advice. So we have the cluster level networks where we empower the leaders from the self-help groups, and they act as mentors and they carry out. So we continuously keep our dialogue with the cluster level networks. Similarly, environment also, we are having environment protection committees. That's how we ensure sustainability. And another thing is benchmark. Over a period of time, that has been the realization. When I joined the institution, I joined in May. From August, we started microfinance, because only through microfinance, the surplus income, we could ensure sustainability. Even during COVID, we did not close any of our institutions, especially the schools. At that point in time, we were using the schools for orphaned children. Government interested the orphan children, and they said, you please take care. So we were running residential schools for the orphan children at that point in time. So we had built up a corpus over a period of time to ensure sustainability of the interventions. CSR projects, of course, it is for a short-term project. It is having its own objective, but it's a short-term project. So long-term projects, we are able to ensure more sustainability.
Good evening, ma'am. Yeah. I have two questions for you. So you have informed about the United Nations. You have been awarded. Just share me the experience. Number one. Secondly, you have informed that you have been aligning with SDGs, Sustainable Development Growth. So I have seen you have been recycle waste management and decent economic growth and education for rural and urban areas. So what are the other SDGs Belstar is going forward on it?
I will take the first question, and I will request Srinivas to take the question on the SDGs. Basically, it was a wonderful experience. First, we were received by Princess Sabika of Bahrain. We were really treated like royals. It was a very special experience. And I got award under the individual category. For the award, we went to for global award for women's empowerment. I never expected, because I don't, still till today I do not know who were the jury members. We had implemented a project in Madhya Pradesh with support from SIDBI. It was for digital training, but for 20,000 entrepreneurs. It was a scalable project, and it had a lot of impact after DMON. People were able to transact using their cards in the bank. They were training their husbands actually. So it was a very powerful project. SIDBI was very happy with the outcomes of the project, and that project was presented to this committee, and they felt it was a very unique project and it was scalable, and that was the basis of selection. Going to United Nations with the family was a special experience, and I think after MS Subbulakshmi, I am the second person from Tamil Nadu to receive an award at the United Nations. So it was a unique experience. They gave me a cash award also. It's a very, very rare like you don't work for awards, but when you get the awards, and even it motivates the team, because it's a thankless job, especially working with poorer communities. Sometimes they don't understand you, government does not understand you, even the donors can be very harsh, very strict. Sometimes you wonder, really, is it worth taking so much of stress? In the beginning, when we started work with the residential school, there were no mobiles. Several nights I've had sleepless nights when the children used to fall sick, because only through the landline they used to contact, and that child should survive, because when they admit the child, nobody will tell the child has heart problems. So it used to be a nightmare running the, because one incident can actually spoil your reputation. So taking such responsibility for poorer children, it was a very Herculean task. But when you get awards, it has given me a lot of confidence, and you feel that you're doing the right thing. And for my team also, because the entire credit goes to the team 24/7 to take care of children from such harsh conditions, to give them a normal childhood, and they're so empowered when they come out of our residential schools. We have really 5,000 children, I would say, till date. They have come out of our residential schools, and they're leading a normal life. Otherwise, they would have been, what to say, because they are restless, because they have not had a normal childhood. They would have been like not productive citizens, but because of the hard work and the mentorship, they are leading normal lives. So I think these awards play give a lot of confidence and encouragement. Thank
I think the SDG question, if you go through the entire list, leave the urban one. Other than that, I think we'll be working on all the SDGs, even the sub classifications. So that could be health, that could be environment. But we don't talk about infrastructure and all. That's not our game. But you will find us active in all the SDGs, most of the SDGs. Okay, the urban one is something which we don't work.
you. They did a study with IIT, and that was also confirmed.
The
Alignment with SDG.
Yeah, all our proposals also are written with the SDG as the backprop for our proposal. So when we write to donors, SDG, which SDG we work for is clearly mentioned. So offhand, I'm telling you, because instead of putting the whole list on, I'm just telling you which areas we don't work. That's much easier to, to articulate.
Can I ask a question? A couple of them. If you look at the success of your programs in various states, if you analyze them, and look into the growth of the states, how the GDP or GSDP of the states have improved over a period of time, do you see a correlation between success of the programs and the GDP growth of the states? Is there anything which you are able to tell us about that? That is one question. Second question I have got is, see, we are in this country, we have got employment as a very, very big problem, and about statistics indicate that about 30% of the people below 30 years of age are either neither in employment nor training or education. Now, that includes a lot of boys also. Okay. Now, you are looking at one side of the picture of the SHGs and ladies and things like that. Is there anything you can advise to the government in what kind of a policy must be evolved to see that these guys, I mean, they say, I have got a education, university education, so I don't want to work anywhere. Okay, but they go and work in a surrogate way, they go and work in some place for some time. How to ensure that these people come down from the high horse and then try and getting into jobs, taking some businesses and then working on that? How to do that? That is something which is a puzzle.
Okay, I think the first question is, I think you're putting a lot of weight on hand in hand work. I think the kind of projects that we have are very small compared to the GDP of a state. But if you were to look at the particular location,
The success of this thing depends on the kind of development that particular micro enterprises. The enterprises have to sell.
Okay.
Development of the state is of the particular state is very important.
Correct.
For that to happen. So I'm saying whether there is a direct correlation.
I don't know, but I think my initial reaction was that the amount of investment we make in a community is very small compared to the GDP of the. That was the point I was trying to make. But if you compare the investment we make within a village, then there is a significant improvement. So I don't know whether it correlates to the state per se. It might correlate to the block or to the village where we do. That village upliftment program is designed specifically for that purpose. We identify villages where we think there is a potential for GDP improvement if we do certain infrastructure development, if we do both the hard assets and the soft assets, there is definitely an improvement in that location. So I don't know whether we can make a claim to the state, but we can definitely make a claim to the village and the block. That definitely we can make.
We've also started working with the youth because we realize that we are missing out on a very crucial set of people. So that uniform services training, we are targeting the youth, and we are trying to work through the women because everywhere you go, the mothers are working. They are 50, 60, they are working. These boys are looking at the cell phone and they are also into addiction. I think 6 months back, I came across an incident. A 6-year-old child was actually threatening his mother because she advised against alcoholism. It is so rampant now in Tamil Nadu. It was really, and I was meeting one of the cluster level network, and they said the boy wanted to hit me because I advised him against alcoholism, and he had got used to going to the TASMAC because during COVID the schools were shut. The parents were using the children to procure alcohol. So it is that bad. So what we are trying to do now is through the women we are trying to motivate some villages. Can we take a pledge that we will not encourage the second generation to go for addiction? Can you be? We are selecting some people as role models. Families are progressive only when the husband is not drinking, because if they use the money which they are making out of the enterprises, they are able to plow back into business, only there will be profitability. So we are trying to showcase such families and make others realize that it's very important that they are, and we have seen that also where the husband and wife work together and they are focused on the business, they are able to see a lot of profits. But only if the women has to manage the show, it's very difficult. So we have to we started a skill training in Punjab. So there English training we offered to the youth. It was a massive success because most of them want to go to Vancouver or Australia. That is their ambition. So we have to customize the skill training for youth also based on what they aspire. Photography, digital training in digital spaces, web, because there's a lot of opportunities even on managing websites. We feel over a period of time, even the small MSME or the petty shop will graduate to a position where they will want to have their own website to promote their business. So we will need more people who can manage such websites. So web designer, marketing through Instagram, because I think marketing through social media is going to also really scale up like anything. I think these are some of the areas where we should actually scale up our initiative and involve the youth. They will be interested if it is something with in the digital space. That's what I feel.
I think that was fascinating. We've been talking about a demographic dividend, and that demographic dividend will soon turn into a disaster if we do not have efforts like this, trying to create jobs in the rural areas, bringing more women into the workforce. Now, these are all things which we've been talking of, and here is an example of people walking the talk, and I think they deserve a big round of applause. And I can't resist. Oh yes, please. A standing ovation is what he says. Yes, they deserve a standing ovation. I can't but resist also bringing the role of CIC into this. We have done 220 events, and it has taken us that long to bring Dr. Kalpana here to our stage. She has been recognized all over the world. But here in Chennai, many of us didn't even know what is happening right in our city. And that is the job that CIC does, digs up such examples of our own Chennaiites who have been doing their own in a very quiet way. And we thank Dr. Kalpana Shankar and her colleague to have come down and explained to us how much impact they have done. And they've been painstaking in not just claiming, they have been proving to us that the claims are not hollow. And for that, we thank you and we wish you more and more success. And we hope that in the coming years, you'll double your efforts and double your achievements too. Thank you. We would like to remind all of you that we have our annual literature festival on the 13th and 14th of December. 13th would be for the young adults, and that would be conducted at the Sishya School in OMR, and on the 14th at the Madras School of Economics. We have a very eminent panel coming in. We have William Dalrymple, who has agreed to come for the festival. We also have a professor from Stanford University who's going to talk to us about Russia and Ukraine, and a galaxy of writers on fiction, non-fiction, and translation. I'm sure all of you would be there to encourage us on the 13th and 14th of December at the Madras School of Economics. We have another event coming up, Dr. Sriram Balasubramaniam on Dharmanomics. And that would be a book launch and a book discussion. And we would let you know as soon as the dates for that event are finalized. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you.